A substance has a density of 5 gcm3. Find its mass if volume is 30 cm3. Well picked. 150 g is the correct answer.
Name the property of material which is measured using Mohs hardness scale. Strong choice. Hardness is the right answer. Can we separate salt and sugar by whether it is soluble or insoluble? Bravo! No is the answer. From the following, choose the name of liquids which are miscible in water.
Right choice. Glycerine and water is the best answer. What do you call a substance through which things are partially visible?
Perfect. Translucent is the correct choice. Which of the following materials is used to make both tables and chairs?
Correct response. Seawood is the most accurate answer.
When you add salt to water, it dissolves in water. Salt is dash in water. On track, soluble is the correct answer. Dash is a natural material used to make different types of ornaments. Right again, gold is a valid answer.
Materials that allow the transfer of heat and electricity are called. Excellent choice. Conductors is the right answer.
The process of gases and liquids spreading into surrounding is called. You're right. Diffusion is the correct answer.
The matter from which something is or can be made is called material.
Exactly. True makes sense, and it is right choice. Which among the following are commonly used for making a safety pin? Solid response. Steel and plastic is a valid choice. Identify the following materials which is having lustrous appearance.
Good job. Your answer, water glass, works well here.
Dash are the materials that allow the transfer of heat through them. Clear logic. Your choice, conductors, is sound and 100% true.
The process of categorizing things on the basis of their properties. Well done. Classification is the right choice. Density of an object is more than the density of water. Will it dash?
You chose sink, and it is correct. Which of these properties of water helps in the washing of clothes?
Correct. Solubility is the right answer.
Which pair of substances among the following would float in water?
Oh. Great thinking. Feather, plastic ball is the right choice.
Do silver objects lose their shine and turn black after a few years? Great job. True is the accurate answer. Non-metals are commonly soft, broken into pieces on being beaten.
Sharp thinking. True is the right choice.
Which gas is dissolved in water and is important for aquatic life? Good thinking. Oxygen is the right answer. Which of the following is edible, floats on water, and melts easily? Nice work. You chose ice, and it is correct. On what basis would you separate thermocol beads and glass beads?
Excellent. Based on weight is a brilliant choice.
The underwater plants and animals use dash, gas dissolved in water. Nicely done. Oxygen is a solid answer. Which of the following materials is commonly used to make shoes? Smart move. Leather is an accurate answer.
Given below are the names of some objects. Pick out the odd ones.
Well reasoned. Sulfur is the correct choice.
Some materials are soluble in water, whereas some others are dash.
Nice selection. Insoluble is the correct and valid answer.
Materials that allow all the light to pass through them are dash. Smart pick. Transparent is the correct choice. Materials that can be compressed or scratched easily are called.
You got it. Your choice soft is right.
In the following, which one is odd one out rose? Water, jasmine.
Valid point. Water is true.
Which of the following materials dissolves completely in water?
You got it. Your choice C, sugar, is right.
Which of the following is an example of a transparent material?
Well done. Sea glass is the right choice.
Which of the following materials is suitable to make raincoats?
Valid point. Plastic is true.
From the following, choose the objects that are made up of wood.
Exactly. Both A and B make sense, and it is right choice.
Which of these materials is soft and can be easily scratched?
Nice work. You chose chalk, and it is correct.
The property of a substance by which it dissolves in water is?
Correct response. Solubility is the most accurate answer.
Book is an object and paper is the material used to make book.
Right again. True is a valid answer.
We choose a material to make an object depending on its dash.
Clear logic. Your choice properties is sound and 100% true.
An object through which we can see but not clearly is called.
Smart pick. Translucent is the correct choice.
Milk and water dissolve in each other. What are they called?
Strong choice. Miscible liquids is the right answer. Which of the following materials is hard, opaque, and shines? Solid response. Tin is a valid choice.
Bricks, stones, and diamonds are examples of dash materials.
You're right. Hard is the correct answer.
Matter is made up of extremely small particles called dash.
Nice selection. Atoms is the correct and valid answer. Shoes is a material and leather is an object to male shoes. Great thinking. False is the right choice.
Materials that cannot be compressed easily are called dash.
Well reasoned. Hard is the correct choice.
Materials that allow light to pass through it completely.
Good job. Your answer, transparent, works well here.
Which of the following is correct for the term luster?
Good thinking. Shiny appearance is the right answer.
Grouping things with similar properties together is called.
Great job. Classification is the accurate answer.
Kerosene does not dissolve in water. What are they called?
Perfect. Immiscible liquids is the correct choice.
Transparent materials allow the light to pass through them.
Excellent. Completely is a brilliant choice.
When you add a lot of salt to water, you get dash solution.
Bravo. Concentrated is the answer.
Anything which has mass and occupies space is called dash.
Excellent choice. Matter is the right answer.
Choose the material which is completely soluble in water.
Right choice. Glucose is the best answer.
Substances through which we cannot see at all are called.
Well picked. Opaque is the correct answer.
Objects which emit light of their own are called as dash.
Correct. Luminous objects is the right answer.
Nitrogen gas dissolved in water helps fishes to breathe.
Sharp thinking. False is the right choice.
Materials that are difficult to compress are called dash. Smart move. Hard materials is an accurate answer.
Which material is commonly used for making a safety pin? On track. Steel and plastic is the correct answer.
Objects which does not allow electricity to pass through.
You chose insulators, and it is correct.
Which of the following substances are soluble in water?
Nicely done. All of them is a solid answer.
Heating or cooling can change the property of material.
Good thinking. True is the right answer.
Which of the following objects will not float on water?
You're right. G. Everett metal spoon is the correct answer.
In appearance, materials have different properties like.
Correct. All of these is the right answer.
A coin is heavier than water, so it will dash in water.
Strong choice. Sink is the right answer.
Substances in which we can only see parsley are called.
On track. Translucent is the correct answer. Objects around us are made up of large variety of dash.
Exactly. Materials make sense, and it is right choice.
Materials through which we can see, but not clearly are.
Solid response. Translucent is a valid choice.
When light bounces off an object, it is called as dash.
Perfect. Reflection is the correct choice.
An oiled paper or butter part acts as a dash material.
Nicely done. Translucent is a solid answer.
Which of the following is the hardest substance known? Great job, diamond is the accurate answer.
Find the odd one out: sugar, salt, sand, copper sulfate. You chose sand, and it is correct.
What makes the basis of sorting materials into groups?
Nice selection. Both the above is the correct and valid answer.
A cotton cloth has luster, but a clay pot does not have.
Sharp thinking. False is the right choice.
Which of the following material is dull in appearance?
Well reasoned. Wood is the correct choice.
Which one of the following is a transparent material?
Correct response. Glass is the most accurate answer.
Some materials are shiny in dash, while others are not. Right choice. Appearance is the best answer.
A substance through which do not pass light is called.
Valid point. Opaque is true.
Placing and sorting similar things together is dash.
Smart pick. Sorting is the correct choice. Which of the following is our bad conductor of heat?
Clear logic. Your choice, all of these is sound and 100% true.
Which material is commonly used to make lunch boxes?
Good job. Your answer B, plastic, works well here.
Shopkeepers usually keep sweets in a dash container. Right again. Transparent is a valid answer.
Which of the following does not belong to the group? Nice work. You chose oil, and it is correct. Hardest naturally occurring substance on the earth is? Well done. Diamond is the right choice.
Which of these liquids does not mix well with water?
Excellent. C, kerosene, is a brilliant choice.
Find the odd one out on the basis of their material. Well picked. Football is the correct answer.
Anything that occupies space and has mass is called. Great thinking. Matter is the right choice.
Which of the following materials are non-lustrous? Bravo, wood is the answer. Which of the following substance is more volatile? You got it. Your choice, mercury, is right. Metals are dash, conductors of heat and electricity.
Excellent choice. Good is the right answer.
There are rough materials and some dash materials.
Smart move. Smooth is an accurate answer.
Which is the hardest material among the following? Great thinking. Iron is the right choice. The glass fitted in the front windshield of car is? Clear logic. Your choice, transparent, is sound and 100% true. Which of the following is an inflammable material? Solid response. Spirit is a valid choice. Which of the following substances is translucent? Well reasoned. Oily paper is the correct choice.
Substance that are used to make cutting tools are?
Correct response. All of them is the most accurate answer. Which one of the following is insoluble in water?
Strong choice. Coconut oil is the right answer.
Select the object from the following which shine. Right again. Glass bowl is a valid answer. Dash materials are used to make groups of things. Right choice. Same is the best answer. Smallest indivisible particle of matter is called? You got it. Your choice, atom, is right. All objects are made up of same kind of materials. On track. False is the correct answer. Can ball and leaf be grouped at least in one group? Sharp thinking. Yes is the right choice. Which of the following is an insoluble substance? Smart pick. Silver is the correct choice. Solids have neither a definite shape nor volume. You're right. False is the correct answer. Which is the hardest known substance on Earth? Nice selection. Diamond is the correct and valid answer. Which of these is an example of a hard material? You chose C, iron, and it is correct. Metals are used for making pans because they are? Smart move. Fireproof is an accurate answer. Find the odd one out: chair, table, baby, cupboard. Great job. Baby is the accurate answer. Which of the following has reddish-brown color? Exactly. Iron makes sense and it is right choice. Different types of materials have different dash. Correct. Properties is the right answer.
The substances that dissolve in water are called.
Excellent choice. Soluble substances is the right answer.
Which of the following materials is odd one out?
Well done. Wood is the right choice.
Materials usually look different from each other.
Valid point. Appearance is true.
Choose the soft substance out of the following.
Good job. Your answer both A and C works well here.
Materials from which light can pass easily are.
Nice work. You chose transparent and it is correct.
Why are paper bags preferred over plastic bags?
Excellent. Paper bags are biodegradable is a brilliant choice.
Which of the following substances are lustrous?
Perfect.
Metal is the correct choice. Evaporation is used to separate which substance?
Good thinking. Salt from seawater is the right answer.
Which one of the following will float on water?
Well picked. Dry leaves is the correct answer.
A notebook has luster, while an eraser does not.
Nicely done. False is a solid answer.
The purpose of sorting material into groups is.
Bravo. Both and is the answer. Which of these is not a property of materials? Great job. B weight is the accurate answer.
Which of the following is shiny in appearance?
Well done. Metallic chain is the right choice.
Which of the following is not a soft material?
Excellent choice. Diamond is the right answer.
How do we choose a material to make an object?
Solid response. Depending upon its properties is a valid choice. Which of the following is a lustrous object? Exactly. Gold makes sense and it is right choice. Salt dissolve in water. It is a dash material. Nice work. You chose soluble and it is correct.
Iron, aluminium, and gold have a dash appearance.
Strong choice. Shiny is the right answer.
Which of the following will dissolve in water?
Great thinking. Oxygen is the right choice.
Through which material we can see through it?
You're right. Transparent is the correct answer.
Which one of the following is not an element?
Sharp thinking. Carbon dioxide is the right choice.
True or false? Sugar does not dissolve in water.
Nice selection. False is the correct and valid answer.
An opaque object casts a dark dash behind it.
Excellent. Shadow is a brilliant choice. Which of the combinations is the odd one out? Correct. Oil and water is the right answer.
True or false? Piece of wood floats in water.
Bravo. True is the answer. Substances that can be compressed are called. Valid point. Soft is true. True or false? Glucose is insoluble in water. Good job. Your answer false works well here. Which is the roughest material in the world? Right choice. Diamond is the best answer.
Which of the following is lustrous material?
Correct response. Copper is the most accurate answer.
What means the shine or gloss of a material? Smart pick. Luster is the correct choice.
Mohan is able to bend the rod because it is.
Perfect. Flexible is the correct choice.
Stone is transparent, while glass is opaque.
Good thinking. False is the right answer.
Only patch on a paper is an example of dash.
Smart move. Translucency is an accurate answer.
Something that takes up space and has mass.
You chose matter, and it is correct.
Chalk can be completely dissolved in water.
Clear logic. Your choice false is sound and 100% true.
Plastic ball will float on oil or kerosene.
On track. True is the correct answer. Materials that have luster are usually dash. Nicely done. Metals is a solid answer. Which one of these shows magnetic property?
You got it? Your choice cobalt is right.
When atoms combine together, they form dash.
Right again. Molecules is a valid answer.
Newspaper, books, diaries, etc. are made of. Well picked. Paper is the correct answer. Which of the following is made of leather?
Well reasoned. Belt is the correct choice.
Liquids which are soluble in other liquids.
You got it. Your choice miscible liquids is right.
Which of the following metal is malleable?
Good thinking. Gold and aluminium is the right answer.
Objects that are less dense than the water.
Sharp thinking. Float is the right choice.
Identify the bad conductor of electricity.
You chose pure water.
And it is correct.
The space between particles is maximum in.
Excellent choice. Gases is the right answer.
Materials are grouped for our convenience.
Valid point. True is true.
Vinegar and lemon juice are dash in water. Nice selection. Miscible is the correct and valid answer.
The materials used to make plate are dash.
Well done.
All of these is the right choice.
Which of the following has a fixed shape?
Right choice. Iron is the best answer.
Materials that can be pressed easily are.
Good job. Your answer soft works well here.
Which of the following is round in shape?
You're right. Orange is the correct answer.
The intermolecular forces is strongest in.
Great job. Solid is the accurate answer.
Name a material that we get from plants.
Exactly. Wood makes sense, and it is right choice.
The external look of an object is called.
Ooh. Nicely done. Appearance is a solid answer.
Find the odd one out from the following. Correct response. Glass beaker is the most accurate answer, which is a set of transparent materials.
Perfect. All of these is the correct choice.
Identify the materials soluble in water.
Smart move. Both A and B is an accurate answer.
True or falsison settles down in water.
Correct. True is the right answer.
Which of these objects are transparent? Nice work. You chose glass, and it is correct. B. Rose, jasmine, boat, marigold, lotus. Right again. Boat is a valid answer. Grouping things help us dash about them. Excellent. Both A and B is a brilliant choice.
C. Aluminum, iron, copper, silver, sand.
On track, sand is the correct answer. All gases are poor conductors of heat.
Smart pick. True is the correct choice.
Select the object that will not shine. Clear logic. Your choice rubber sheet is sound and 100% true. Total number of elements known so far.
Great thinking. 118 is the right choice. What is not an example of soft material?
Strong choice. Gold bar is the right answer. Objects through we can see clearly are. Well picked. Transparent is the correct answer. An oiled paper acts as a dash material.
Well reasoned. Translucent is the correct choice.
The smallest particle of a compound is.
Bravo. Molecule is the answer.
Identify the materials which are soft. Solid response. All of these is a valid choice. Grounded glass is a Grandasha material. Solid response. Translucent is a valid choice. Dash is called the universal solvent. Right choice. Water is the best answer. Sand and water is a soluble solution. Well done. False is the right choice. Materials can be classified based on. On track. All of these is the correct answer. Which is the fourth state of matter?
Sharp thinking. Plasma is the right choice.
Nails are made up of metal because it... Right again. Does not bend easily is a valid answer. Which of them can be made of plastic? Good job. Your answer bucket works well here.
Which of the following is the hardest? Smart move. Cricket ball is an accurate answer.
Which of the foal has dull appearance?
Clear logic. Your choice. Brick is sound and 100% true.
Select the objects which is lustrous. Nice selection. Steel spoon is the correct and valid answer. Write an object that is made of wood. You're right. Bench is the correct answer.
Which one is a translucent material?
Good thinking. Grounded glass is the right answer. What are the three states of matter? Valid point. Solid, liquid, gas is true. When you put oil on paper, it becomes...
Nicely done. Translucent is a solid answer.
In dash, particles are loosely packed. Great job. Guess is the accurate answer. Which of the foal does sink in water?
Strong choice. Stone is the right answer.
D. Sugar, salt, sand, copper, sulfur. Correct. Sand is the right answer. Wood is an example of lustrous object. Excellent choice. False is the right answer. Why can't tumbler be made of cotton?
Well reasoned. Cotton won't hold water is the correct choice. Cooking utensils can be made up of. Great thinking. Aluminum is the right choice. Objects are made by the use of dash. Excellent. Materials is a brilliant choice.
Oil does not mix with water because...
You got it. Your choice, they are immiscible, is right. Wood is used for matches because it...
Perfect. Burns is the correct choice.
Things that are light dash in water. Nice work. You chose float, and it is correct. All things are made up of materials. Well picked. True is the correct answer. Which of the following have luster? Bravo, steel armor is the answer. Copper, gold and aluminium all are.
Smart pick. All of the above is the correct choice.
Dash is the fourth state of matter. You chose plasma, and it is correct. Shape is definite in the case of...
Exactly. Solids makes sense, and it is right choice.
Dash and dash are lustrous metals.
Correct response. Gold and silver is the most accurate answer.
Which of the following is a metal? Smart move. Magnesium is an accurate answer. Shiny appearance is termed as dash. Exactly. Luster makes sense and it is right choice. Find the odd one from below things. Valid point. Marigold is true. Which three process help to pure water? Nice selection. Sedimentation, decantation, and filtration is the correct and valid answer. Dash do not have a definite shape. Right choice. Liquids and gases is the best answer. X plus water equal to aerated drinks. Find X. Right again. CO2 is a valid answer. All gases are insoluble in water. You chose false, and it is correct. Which of the following is transparent? Great thinking. Glass is the right choice. An oily thin paper sheet will be... Smart pick. Translucent is the correct choice. Sugar does not dissolve in water. Sharp thinking. False is the right choice. Select the state which is solid. Correct response. Both 1 and 3 is the most accurate answer. Another word for earthen pitcher. Nicely done. Gara is a solid answer. Wood and coal are opaque objects. Correct. True is the right answer. Which of the given is a compound? Nice work. You chose common salt, and it is correct. A piece of wood floats on water. Clear logic. Your choice true is sound and 100% true.
Can we separate oil from water? Excellent choice. Yes is the right answer.
A thing can be made of different.
Well reasoned. Materials is the correct choice.
Dash is the hardest substance.
You're right. Diamond is the correct answer.
Oil can easily mix with water.
Strong choice. False is the right answer.
Glass is a translucent material. Bravo! False is the answer. Nails and stones dash in water. Good thinking. Sink is the right answer.
Petrol is miscible with water. On track. False is the correct answer.
Choose the symbol for sodium.
Great job. Nay is the accurate answer.
Example of translucent object. Good job. Your answer glass works well here. Oil can be dissolved in water. You got it. Your choice false is right.
Grouping of thing is done for. Well done. Convenience is the right choice.
Tumbler can be made with dash.
Excellent. None is a brilliant choice.
A tumbler is made up of cloth. Perfect. False is the correct choice, which is not a hard material. Well picked. Cotton is the correct answer. Sugar does not mix in water. Solid response. False is a valid choice.
Kerosene is soluble in water.
Excellent choice. False is the right answer.
Dash is a transparent object.
Sharp thinking. Window glass is the right choice. Find the malleable substance. Nice selection. Both 1 and 3 is the correct and valid answer. It cannot be made from wood. Solid response. Clothes is a valid choice. Example of immiscible liquid. Bravo. Oil and water is the answer. Sugar is insoluble in water. Right again. False is a valid answer. Grouping is a useful process. Strong choice. True is the right answer. Hydrogen dissolves in water. Correct response. False is the most accurate answer. Sand settles down in water. Good thinking. True is the right answer. Wood has a dull appearance. Nice work. You chose true and it is correct. Dash is an opaque substance. Great thinking. Wood is the right choice. Vinegar dissolves in water. Right choice. True is the best answer. All objects have different. Exactly. All of the above makes sense and it is right choice. Which one is compressible? Excellent. Cotton is a brilliant choice. Substance has its own dash. Great job. Properties is the accurate answer. Which of these is opaque? You got it. Your choice mirror is right. Jewelry is made of a dash. Clear logic. Your choice gold is sound and 100% true. Pick the correct spelling. Well done. Appearance is the right choice. Alum is soluble in water. Nicely done. True is a solid answer. Choose the soft material. Correct. Sponge is the right answer. Glass is dash object dash. Smart pick. Transparent is the correct choice. Does coin float on water? You're right. No is the correct answer. Glass is a dash material. On track. Transparent is the correct answer. What object can reflect? Smart move. Old laptop screen is an accurate answer. Iron is a dash material. Valid point. Natural is true. Vinegar is dash in water.
Well reasoned. Soluble is the correct choice.
Rock has a smooth surface.
Good job. Your answer false works well here.
Are mirrors transparent?
You chose no, and it is correct.
Dash is a hard material.
Well picked. Copper is the correct answer. Chalk dissolves in water. Perfect. False is the correct choice.
Tree is an opaque object.
Nice selection. True is the correct and valid answer.
Choose the odd one out. Solid response. Quilts is a valid choice.
Which of them is lustre? You're right. Gold is the correct answer.
Smooth materials lack.
Nice work. You chose roughness, and it is correct.
Select the odd one out.
You chose boy, and it is correct. Chair can be made from.
Correct response. Wood is the most accurate answer.
Iron is an example of.
Bravo! Both A and C is the answer.
Is graphite lustrous?
Exactly. Yes makes sense, and it is right choice.
Tree is a dash object.
Well picked. Opaque is the correct answer.
A stone dash in water.
Great thinking. Sinks is the right choice.
All mixes with water.
Right again. False is a valid answer.
Wood is a dash object.
Nicely done. Opook is a solid answer.
Sand is dash in water. You got it. Your choice in soluble is right.
A chair is made from.
Perfect. Both plastic and wood is the correct choice.
Glass is transparent.
Excellent choice. True is the right answer.
Egg of opaque objects.
Correct. Wood is the right answer. Which object shines?
Valid point.
Steel spoon is true.
Find the odd one out.
Sharp thinking. Sand is the right choice.
Clear water is dash.
Well done. Transparent is the right choice.
Plasma is found in.
Smart pick. Star is the correct choice.
Toy can be made by. Right choice. Plastic is the best answer.
Frosted glasses.
Well reasoned. Translucent is the correct choice.
Coconut oil is.
On track. Immiscible is the correct answer.
Butter paper is.
Great job. Translucent is the accurate answer.
It is lustrous. Clear logic. Your choice all of the above is sound and 100% true.
Glass is a dash.
Excellent. Both B and C is a brilliant choice. What is luster?
Good job. Your answer shine works well here.
A mirror is. Strong choice. Opaque is the right answer. Density is. Good thinking. P equal Tom V is the right answer. Oil is.
Smart move. Immiscible is an accurate answer.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Great job. Contact Narayan Changda on Facebook is the accurate answer.